Did you know that the four horsemen of the apocalypse, i.e. pestilence, war, famine, and death, are a sign that the end of times has arrived? Let me explain. According to Christianity, the four horsemen of the apocalypse are figures that will be released upon humanity as punishments from God. The book of Revelation from the New Testament mentions that in the hands of God lies a scroll, which is kept shut by 7 seals. Each seal represents a punishment that will be unleashed on humanity if it is opened. The first seal unleashes the horsemen of pestilence. The second seal unleashes the horsemen of war. The third seal unleashes the horsemen of famine. And the fourth seal unleashes the horsemen of death. Once the first 4 seals are broken, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse will bring the punishments of God onto humanity. The opening of the 5th seal releases the cries of martyrs, the 6th seal unleashes plagues and storms, and the 7th seal signals the blowing of the 7 trumpets. The first horseman is referred to by various names such as the White Horseman, the Horseman of Conquest, and the Horseman of Pestilence. Originally, the Horseman of Conquest was used to refer to the first horseman. However, since war and conquest mean essentially the same thing, the first horseman is referred to as the Horseman of Pestilence. The Horseman of Pestilence will arrive on a white horse, wearing a victor's crown and carrying a bow. It is said that the first horseman represents the spread of infectious diseases and plagues. With his arrival, infectious and deadly diseases and plagues will spread globally and affect billions, causing death everywhere he goes. Interestingly enough, for almost 2,000 years, it was believed that the first horseman was a positive figure and represented Jesus. The second horseman is referred to as the Horseman of War and will appear riding a fiery red horse and holding a sword, symbolizing the declaration of war. There are various different interpretations of what the Horseman of War represents. Many believe that the Horseman of War represents the civil war that will engulf Earth and lead to incredible destruction and death. Others consider the Horseman of War to represent the persecution of Christians. The third horseman of the apocalypse is the Horseman of Famine, who will appear riding a black horse and hold a pair of weighing scales in his hands. His arrival will signal the beginning of a catastrophic period of famine, during which the price of grain will skyrocket, and despite leaving the prices of oil and wine unaffected, it will be out of reach for most people. The weighing scales represent the fact that during his time, an entire day's worth of wages will only be enough to buy bread for one person. Interestingly, only the Horseman of Famine and his horse are accompanied by voices. Finally, the Horseman of Death will appear riding a pale horse and be followed by Hades, the resting place of the dead. As the Horseman of Death rides through Earth, Hades will open its jaws wide enough to receive the victims of death from war, pestilence, and famine. Interestingly, many people consider the beginning of 2019 to be the arrival of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. But what do you think? If you found this content interesting and want to watch more of it, consider liking this video and subscribing to my channel.